Today I'll be reviewing Pokemon Journeys episode 62, The Depression of Drizzle. This was a pretty good episode. The evolution of Sobble was random and questionable in my opinion, but the ending made it worth it. So let's talk about it. So the episode starts off with Ash and Goh doing an interview about being research fellows, and Ash and Goh are talking about what happened in episode 52 with the Diglett, which I thought was a weird episode to reference. But the interview ends with Ash saying he'll be a Pokemon master and win the world championships, and Goh saying that he'll catch every Pokemon. And the lady just looks at them funny, which kind of puts into perspective how big their dreams are. And after the interview, we see that Sobble is training and practicing Water Gun so that it can evolve into Inteleon. And after saving an Oddish from a citrus berry, it ends up evolving, and the Pokédex informs Goh, which I thought was pretty cool. And this is probably the only time we've ever seen a Pokemon evolve without their trainer being nearby or in the same place. So Sobble ends up evolving into Drizzle and realizes that it's not an Inteleon and becomes depressed, even though all the other Pokemon are happy for it. Meanwhile, Goh decides to send Cinderace to look for Drizzle, and Drizzle decides to look for a place to hide, and ends up hiding itself in a cave since all the other spots are taken, and Goh tries to convince it to come out by telling him that it can train to become Inteleon, but it's too depressed to listen, so Cinderace just ends up coming in and dragging it out, which causes Drizzle to run away. So after that, they go to the lab and talk to the professor, and he tells them about its Pokédex entry with it being a lazy and intelligent Pokemon. He also talks about how sometimes Pokemon personalities change when it evolves, which is something we've seen many times before, and recently with Raboot evolving into Cinderace. And Ash tells Goh that if his Pokemon were unhappy, he would do anything to cheer them up, and Chloe says she would do the same. So Goh heads out to search for Drizzle with the others, but they end up not finding it, and Goh tells them to go home while he'll continue to search on his own. But Ash and Chloe say they'll stay with him, and I really appreciate this moment because it's very in character for Ash to stick with one of his friends when they're going through something, and it shows character development on the side of Chloe, seeing that she's willing to stick with Goh too. Then Goh realizes that Drizzle has a reason for secluding itself, but he keeps asking himself why. And then we see Goh think back to his past before going to search for Drizzle on top of the roof of his old school. And when he meets it, he apologizes to it, and we get a quick flashback story from Goh. And he talks about how when he was younger, he didn't like playing with other kids, so he was always alone. And when the teacher would ask him why, he didn't know how to answer, and that would make him frustrated. And since he couldn't talk to his parents who were always at work and it was hard to ask his grandma for advice, he would always just gaze up at the stars instead. So he thought Drizzle would do the same, which is why he came to the rooftop. And also why he says Drizzle is just like him. Goh also says that it's fine if Drizzle can't answer all its questions and all his whys, and says that it can stay in its den for as long as it likes without worrying about him, since he'll be there if he ever wants to come out. Then he tells Drizzle he'll be with him in spirit, even when they're apart, and that's when Drizzle vanishes. But the next day we see that Drizzle has returned to its cave, and Goh promises to play with it and his other Pokemon one day too. And that's where the episode ends. This was easily one of the best Goh episodes that we've seen, and maybe even one of the best Pokemon Journeys episodes. So just to backtrack a bit, I want to talk about Goh's words at the end about being with Drizzle in spirit. I think that would have meant a bit more if we didn't actually see Drizzle in the lab at the end. But that could just be me. I think it could have been a moment similar to when Ash said goodbye to Charizard for a while in Johto, but just on a smaller scale. Now let's talk about the evolution itself. We only saw a bit of training beforehand because Goh doesn't do much battling, and the moment the evolution happened was random. But we did know that Sobble wanted to train to become an Inteleon, so this wasn't too shocking. I only wish they didn't spoil this beforehand. And when it comes to how Drizzle acted after it evolved, this was very in line with its Pokédex entry and Drizzle's own personal feelings, which is something I really liked because it wasn't just a random mood swing, because we saw Sobble training with the goal of evolving into Inteleon, and to find out that its goal is farther than expected was heartbreaking to it, which is why it secluded itself and hid itself from the others. And Goh learning that he can't expect Drizzle to answer all of his whys by looking back on his past was the highlight of the episode for me. I wasn't expecting a Goh flashback, but the one we got was great because it gave us more of Goh's lonely past as a kid, which is something we've seen in previous episodes, so to have them build on it was pretty nice. And the line by the narrator in the end where he says it's neither too close nor too distant was the perfect way to describe their relationship at the end of the episode. So I give this episode a solid 8.5 out of 10. The only thing that could have been better was more training before the random evolution. and maybe having Goh there for the actual evolution. Aside from that, episodes like this are what make me think Goh has potential as a character, but let me know what you thought of this episode in the comment section down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and bye.